Hey, I'm Achickwitbeatz, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit Achickwitbeatz.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's Achickwitbeatz.com. That's ACHICKWITBEATZ.com. Let's make something happen. Thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I am your host, music producer, Achickwitbeatz, and I'm very, very excited to say that I have in the virtual building with me today, Ultramag7. I mean, we've been connected on Instagram for a while, but, it's really great to be able to have this conversation semi face-to-face. But if you could, maybe just tell the people a little bit about, who is Ultramag7 and how you got into doing what you do.
Ultramag7, I guess I would be a Instagram content creator, and what I do, I like to call culture clips. So I like to take songs that have hip hop culture in them, and I like to take clips of pop culture. So culture clips. So movies, cartoons, commercials, anything nostalgic, something from yesteryear. Try to put it together to see if it makes sense. I mean, I guess a lot of times it makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody else. But, I guess what some people would call mashup, but I like to make it my own, so I like to call it culture clips. I got started during the lockdowns when the pandemic happened, and it's two things. It was boredom and jealousy. So boredom, being locked down, and there's this 24-hour cycle, and I'm not gonna sit around and watch TV. I don't want to read this book that I read 72 times again. And so creative juices started flowing, and then I would go on Instagram, and my page was kind of curated for hip hop. I liked a lot of hip hop pages, and I would see all these people coming out with cassettes and records and tapes and t-shirts, and that's where the jealousy comes in, because I'm like, I got some of that stuff. So how do I guess what I envisioned was this online hip hop space, and I was jealous and I wanted to be a part of it. And how do I do that in my own unique way? And as I said, I had, a lot of these, tapes, cassettes, but I didn't want to do that. I come from the age of not biting. So I was like, I don't want to do what you do.
Right.
And so when I first started, I took two songs that had maybe like a bridge, like something that connected them, but they both had videos, and I would cut the video right in the middle of one, and then it would sync into the other. So it seemed like seamless. And then I soon realized a lot of these songs that I wanted to do didn't have videos, and I was going to run out of material. So I recall a friend saying to me, hip hop has a lot of pop culture and references, and when I heard that, I said, well, let me make my own videos. So that's where me doing my own thing, grabbing, material from all these places started.
Okay. I mean, that's a really dope way to get started. I think I kind of want to talk a little bit about something you just said there. It came from boredom and jealousy, but so many people have those emotions and they do nothing with it. But the fact that you're like, okay, no, I'm going to get in this space. How do I fit? Instead of, like you said, biting, because, we see a lot of that these days. And I missed that yesteryear era where, that was frowned upon. But I just want to commend you for that, because, like I said, a lot of people sit in those feelings and don't actually get active about it. So, one, thank you for getting active about it, because what you do is so entertaining. And I think for me, as a hip hop enthusiast and also as a producer, it feels like the same thing that we do with sampling. So like you
Right.
take pieces here and there to create something totally new. So I love, anytime I'm just kind of mindlessly scrolling, and then when you come across it, I'm like, man, I would never make that connection. Like it
Right.
just makes so much sense when I see it, but it never would have occurred to me. And so yeah, how do you kind of get in the zone for that? Because I mean, it's masterful. Like it's artful.
Yeah, it's weird, and like actually, all right, I'll walk you through one I just did. I think I just did recently. So it was the Beastie Boys song. It's called Professor Booty, and I
Yeah.
was I was I think I saw on Instagram or somewhere on social media there was this old cartoon, Sherman and Professor Peabody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen it for a while. I'm like, oh, okay. And but I remembered that, the dog is the professor, it's a cartoon. And Sherman's this little boy. And so I saw that and I'm like, oh, that's Professor Peabody. So in my mind goes, Professor, 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 Professor. I'm like, oh, Professor Booty. Then I'm like, wait, can I make a video out of this? So I went and grabbed like just one of the cartoons. I looked at a few, but just grabbed something. And as I'm doing it, I always listen to the lyrics. So I try to make the lyrics take me somewhere. So I started doing it, lip syncing it up. And then there's a part where they go, looking good, like that. And that's from rest in peace, Freddie Prince. I think he died in the late 70s. And people may know his son, Freddie Prince Jr. But he had a show, Chico and the Man, and that was his catchphrase. So then there's a part in the cartoon where the professor has a book and he opens it up. So I was like, let me superimpose, something of Freddie Prince saying looking good. And then there was a part at the song, what did they say? Don't touch me because I'm electric, and if you touch me, you'll get shocked. And it just so happened in the same cartoon that I think, who was it? This is horrible because I'm near Philadelphia. Benjamin Franklin. Sorry, Benjamin Franklin. Sorry, my Philadelphia people.
Yeah.
But Benjamin Franklin is sitting there, and obviously, with the key and the lightning, so he gets shocked. So it just happened to fall into place, and I could use all of these pieces. So the inspiration comes from something as simple as that. Like it's just something I'm not even thinking about. But I guess because I've listened to hip hop so long, and I know a lot of different songs, that'll just make me think of titles and, oh, this will work for this. Or, like I'll watch a movie and see a sequence and say, hey, that kind of sounds like this song. Or I hear a song and be like, vice versa. And then I'll be like, oh, that could be, moved into this. So there's loads of different inspiration, and it's not the same every time, basically.
Okay. So yeah, you can get inspiration from one or the other at any given moment. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. So, okay. Now, I noticed that it's typically a lot of old school hip hop. Are there any greats that kind of drew you to the culture, like to begin with, that you can think of offhand, I should say? I know there's many.
Yeah, well, number one, the name is Ultramag7. So my favorite hip hop group is Ultramagnetic. So my name comes from that group name, and then, my favorite number 7. So, when you get on Instagram, you got to come up with a tag, and that was just something I put together. If I had to go back, I guess, when I started or knew that this thing might take off, I wouldn't have chosen that name. But I'm stuck with it is what it is. But I don't know, Ultramagnetic. I'm a little bit older, so I like, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Cold Crush, Crash Crew. There's so many Beastie Boys, obviously, with that song. Yeah, there's so many groups. Like I could go on for days.
Okay, so with some of those pioneers as your favorites that you mentioned, from that time frame to now, how do you think technology, well, I should say specifically the internet, has kind of changed things as far as music goes?
Well, I talk about this with friends. I think the internet, especially now, if you see what's going on, I know you always talk about what's going on in the industry, and I love hearing that, is right now I think the internet and everything is taking away the middleman. And people don't really need labels anymore. It used to be, you make a record, it might not come out for another year. You can make a record in your bedroom and then 10 minutes from now you upload it. And if you have the following or, people, they'll hear your new song. So I think it's really taking out the middleman. I think there's a lot of independent artists now that have a greater voice because they don't have to get behind that machine anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned how a lot of the stuff that you work with is out of the nostalgia. So what would you say would be like maybe the greatest thing out of that era? Where the golden era, the when everything started taking off from 70s to like mid 90s. What do you think kind of defined that era?
I think the diversity. There were so many different groups and style, so we had female MCs, a plethora, and they didn't have to take off their clothes and shake their booty. You got, Salt and Pepper, who were super sexy but didn't have to show their body. You have Ultramagnetic or on some scientific outer space stuff. Public Enemy, Pro Black, KRS-One. He's teaching. He's the teacher, so he's explaining all these things that we didn't dive into or didn't even know about. So I guess it's really the diversity, and I think on the top level of hip hop that you hear on radio or what people might call hip hop, I feel we don't have that. Like, let's say going back to biting. Now it's, you did that, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to do that. Then there's 50 people doing that, and who's doing this? We don't need you to do that. Let Drake do that. You don't have to sing and rap. Let somebody else do that, and just do what you do. Be the best you can be.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you just said. I feel like that's part of the reason why we're seeing so many of the changes within the music industry. Like, all these companies are letting so many top people go. They're dropping artists, and I think it's just because so many are just regurgitating the same thing over and over again. And it's rare now that I can actually listen to radio music and be able to tell who it is. Like, there's a handful of artists where I can actually recognize their voice, but so many others sound the same. So like that individuality piece, I think, is kind of imploding from the inside right now, what we're seeing. Because I mean, these labels, I think we're about to go from the big three to probably like the big two. And it's gonna be
and pretty soon it'll be a big one.
Yeah, exactly. So again, with that originality, could you talk a little bit more about how you're able to, I guess, maybe put yourself into what you do? Because I've seen people do different things, like maybe where they're trying to do what you do and it's not quite there. So like, how do you make sure that you put yourself into everything that you do?
I think something I like to do is, in the little time that I'm allotted, to make the videos, I like to tell a story. So I'm going back to like school, and you have, the intro, the middle, conclusion. I always go back to those days. So I try to make it have some type of an arc or tell some type of story. And then just for me, I'm African American. I try to find as many things with Black people in it as I can, and a lot of it is if the character fits. But if the character fits, and it could be a Black character, or if it's a show that I grew up with, I'm going to do that. So that's one of the things I always like to have, show Black people in a light, and also let people know that we've always, sometimes we think, we're not on TV or this. A lot of the stuff I show them, like, we were here. It might not be as prominent as other people, but we've been here. So I always like to do that.
Yeah, that's powerful. So yeah, through everything that you've been doing, I noticed that, you've got some greats that appreciate you and shout you out frequently. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that feels? to be recognized for what you do?
Man, listen. So let me just real quick. So shout out to my friends over at C-Doc again. So that's a show that we're on every Tuesday, and we talk with hip hop greats. But it's overseen by Chuck D of Public Enemy. So when I got brought onto the show, I'm in the presence of Chuck D. And he knows who I am, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm the kid that would, I remember being in high school and leaving 6 period lunch and going to the local record store and getting Fear of a Black Planet and coming back to school and showing it to everybody. Like, how did you get it? You're not. We didn't get out of school yet, but being able to talk to Chuck D and him giving me props, and I've gotten calls from like Fab Five Freddy wanted to do something. He's calling me up and we're talking on the phone, and Fab Five Freddy's explaining to me who he is. I'm like, sir, I know who you are. Like, I remember Change the Beat and Freddy. I know who you are. So it really, for me, being the hip hop fan that I am, it's amazing because these people are larger than life to me. So for them to give me these accolades, I'm like, really? So yeah, it feels great. It's I don't know. I just love it. And I love talking to all the artists. Like, when I get a chance to talk to artists, I love it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's gotta feel incredible, especially to think that Fab Five Freddy is like, oh yeah, this is, yeah. Do you know who I am? Just in case, I was on some major shows. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's awesome that you're being acknowledged for what you do, because a lot of times, it's a labor of love. Sometimes you don't get the thanks that you necessarily deserve. So yeah, that's so awesome. So if you mentioned the show that you do every Tuesday, you can talk a little bit about that and let people know like where they can find it and subscribe, whatever they need to do.
Okay. So the show is called It's C-Doc Again. And so C-Doc, he's the host of the show, and he produces for Public Enemy. He's a filmmaker. He makes beats. He raps. So it's his show, and it's him, myself, a friend Jennifer Jenny, who used to work at K-Day in LA. So this was like the first 24-hour hip hop station. So she worked there. Yeah, she worked there back in the day. So she has her, the LA OGs come on the show and yeah, we know Jennifer, that type of thing. And then Flatline. So he works the music division of what Chuck does. So he's actually on Instagram, he's Hip Hop Gods. So he does that, and people have new songs. He plays all the freshest hip hop, the newest stuff. And we just get on every week. Every Tuesday we have a new guest, and we talk with a plethora of MCs, DJs, whatever is part of the hip hop culture, graffiti artists, dancers, whatever it is, we talk with them every week. So, and it's on Channel Zero on YouTube. So it's Public Enemy's channel. So you go to Channel Zero and you'll see the lineup, and you'll see It's C-Doc Again. So
okay, yeah. Awesome. So yeah, y'all make sure that y'all check that out. I've caught some of the clips from Instagram, and yeah, it's funny. They say that our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, but every time like one of your videos pops up in my feed, I always gotta slow down. Like, okay, let me see what's going on here. So yeah, it's really great to tap in.
Thank you, because you're feeding the algorithm. I thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. I'll definitely signal, yeah, you got to push this out to more people. Yeah. So, okay. You're a storyteller. Do you have like any favorite storytellers? Like, for instance, I'll just say Slick Rick's children's stories, the thing that kind of grabbed me into hip hop. So like, do you have any, top notch list of storytellers?
Well, you said it right there. Slick Rick is probably my top. Slick Rick is that guy. Like, everybody loves his one album, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. but my favorite album is his second album. What's it called?
Is that the one with Behind Bars on it?
No, that's the third one. It's something about the king or something, or I don't know what, I forget what the title is. I got too many hip hop songs, but that album I really loved because he told, like, his stories were great. He tells a story from, you know, the vantage point of a cat, and you know, he you know, even going back to the first album, he's Kit from Knight Rider. But like Slick Rick, I just think he is so great. I think there's a song on a later album, he was like you know, a slave in Pharaoh's times. Like, he just sets you in. Yeah, I love that stuff. He just sets you in that mode, but it's still like this b-boy thing. Like, all right, I'm back then, but you know, but I'm going to use these slick words, but you know, he sets you in that mode. So I'm with you. Slick Rick is he's my number one storyteller.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's an art form that I wish kind of had more exposure in present day. You know, we got a lot of the greats, you know, legends, the veterans still doing it. But right. From some of the newer artists, I would love to be able to see more of that. I mean, a storytelling is just, it's nice to be able to listen to something and just be transported and kind of get, you know, what they're seeing from that viewpoint. Like you said, the cat's view. But yeah.
Yeah. And it's genius. I'm like, you know, it's like, how do you think of that? And then the thing is, you can think of it, but you have to make it creative and slick, and you know, for people to want to listen. Like, if you just told the average person, yeah, he's going to be a cat and he's going to run, and you're like, what? So yeah, I appreciate the storytelling.
Yeah, well, you know, it's obvious in what you do that you are one for sure. So do you have, I mean, I know you say it just kind of comes to you, but do you have any like concrete plans that you might want to share that people can be looking out for from you? Like, kind of coming up?
It's just, you know, I get hit up from some artists nowadays, and so they hit me up and want videos. So things like that happen. So there'll be videos coming up. And actually, I used to rap long time ago.
I knew it. I knew it.
But I had retired. But since, you know, getting in cahoots with CDOC, I guess at the top of the year, there'll be an album by Enemy Radio, which is an offshoot of Public Enemy. And I'll be doing a song with Chuck D. So people,
awesome.
You know, you'll see Ultramag7 trying to rhyme against Chuck D. Not rhyme against, rhyme with Chuck D. So that'll be coming. And I think, I don't know, I may come out of retirement if that's favorable, people like that. Maybe I'll continue doing that. But things like that, I'm thinking of trying to come out with some merch. I just don't want to do, not to say it's just regular, like I don't want to just have t-shirts. I want things that are specific to what I do, you know, that brands things towards me. So brainstorming with ideas for that, but just you know, just creating. Actually, I got into podcasting also through, you know, not just it's CDOC. You know, I have a podcast called People's Distinctive Travels that I do and talk to hip hop artists. So it's so many things that just came out of doing these videos that I would have never imagined.
Okay. Yeah. You know, because I kept thinking, especially as we were talking, I always kind of thought, just from watching your videos and seeing what you do, I'm like, man, he's got so much love for the culture. There's no way he hasn't rapped before. Like, I knew it. I didn't want to put you on the spot here, but yeah.
Oh, no. It's actually, I used to ride with a female named Princess Superstar out of New York. And when I got with her, she had a big hit called Bad Babysitter in the UK. So I was on planes, I was on doing festivals, buses, free clothes, TV shows. So I got to see the life, and then afterwards I'm like, all right, I'm cool on that. But it was fun when it was happening.
Okay, that's so dope. Okay, now for your podcast with the name, I'm a Tribe fan. Sincerely, what made you choose that?
Oh, we were thinking. So shout out to my partner, Overlord the Fresh. He's my partner in doing that. Um, we were both Tribe. We're both Tribe fans, and we were just trying to think of a distinctive name. Well, people's distinctive travels, a name for us, and we were brainstorming because we were thinking of all these hip hop references, and it was like people's not instinctive, distinctive travels, and then we talk with artists, and they give us their kind of history. I think the latest episode has Divine Styler, and we got a lot of good feedback from that because people hadn't heard Divine in that kind of way. And he doesn't give a lot of interviews. It's kind of he's not hiding, but he's behind the scenes doing things. So, and then with us, we like to be we're knowledgeable about who we interview and talk to. So we both were huge Divine Styler fans. So we're asking him this very intricate things, and he's appreciative of it. Like, oh, you guys are really, really fans, and he appreciated that. But yeah, that's where we got it from. Tribe, people's distinctive, to switch it up, distinctive travels.
Yeah, that's so dope. Okay, so where can people check out your podcast?
It's streaming on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever you would listen to podcasts, your favorite platform, it's there.
Okay, dope. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come out and talk. You shared so much wisdom and information. I'm excited for the listeners to hear this conversation because, yeah, totally dope. So, yeah, before we, kind of wrap things up, I just, want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up and sharing. And, yeah, is there anything that you kind of want to leave the people with, where they can follow you? Any platform you want to shout out, and especially to keep up with music tip. Yeah, I'm excited for that. But yeah.
Yes, on Instagram, just Ultramag7 at Ultramag7, ULTRAMAG 7. Every Tuesday, check us out on It's CDoc again. We'll be, talking hopefully to your favorite artist. And also, I just want to add, every Sunday, we play the music of the artist that we're going to have on Tuesday. So my homeboy DJ Soulbuck, he does the mix. So that's called It's CDoc again, the mixtape. So that's on Sundays at 8 p.m. Again, the podcast is People's Distinctive Travels. You can find that on any streaming platform. And it's probably a million other things I do. We'll be here next week.
Well, I hope this is just the first of many, and I get to have you back on the show again. So that way, if you think, man, I should have said this, you can always come back on and say it.
I thank you and appreciate your platform and love everything you're doing. I've been following you, so keep it up. I love the elevation of what you're doing.
Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. Until next time. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. And that's a wrap for this episode of Instrumental Intel. I've been your host, music producer, Achickwitbeatz. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my guest, Ultramag7, for coming in and sharing his process and wisdom with us. And I'd also like to thank my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Make sure you come back next week. I got more goodness lined up for you that I'm excited to be able to share. So till next time, you know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend. I'll see you then. Peace.